Sorry. Hi.
Hello, how are
Hi,
you?
Pam. Hi, Erica. How are you?
Hi, Anna. Hi, Pam.
Hello,
I'm good,
how are
great.
you?
I'm good,
Good.
thank you. You?
So let's start. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna from GreenGeeks, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, our first webinar of the year, 5 SEO trends for 2023, and how to take advantage of them with our guest speaker, Pam Angst-Cronin, president and founder of Panel Marketing. I'm going to introduce you, Pam, in a moment. But real quick, I wanted to say a few words about GreenGeeks for those of you who are not familiar with us. We're a 300% green energy web hosting provider, which essentially means that we put back 3 times the power we consume into the grid into the form of renewable energy. We have been recognized by the US EPA since 2009 as a Green Power partner, and we offer share hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated server. Now, a little bit of housekeeping items on the webinar. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we will read them after the presentation and Pam will be answering them. You're welcome to chat in the chat room. Just remember to select everyone if you want everyone to see what you're talking about. Also, in case you don't know, we are recording this presentation. So no worries if you have to step away, since we will be emailing the recording to you in a couple of days. And one more thing, we have enabled live transcriptions for this webinar. So you have the ability to enable during the webinar the live transcription by going to live transcript and then show subtitles. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Erica from the GreenGeeks team, who's going to be helping us with the chat and the Q&A. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. My name is Erica Barbosa. I am from Costa Rica. I am a computer engineer and I work in the partners team at GreenGeeks. And today I will be assisting the chat and reading your comments. I hope you enjoy today the webinar with Pam, and thank you for being here today. Another year.
Yes, thank you for New Year. And Pam, hi Pam, she's the owner of Panel Marketing, I was saying before. Pam is an SEO expert. She specializes in SEO, PPC, and analytics. She's a passionate advocate of WordPress and regularly gives talks to WordCamps around the country about SEO, Google Analytics, and business topics. So welcome, Pam. Would you like to say something about yourself to our audience? And then maybe you can start the presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on this today. I mean, you gave the short description of who I am. Don't know too much how to expand on that other than I'm just a major nerd. So that's how I got into all of this SEO and web stuff, technology-oriented things I've always loved. So that's what we're going to talk about today is SEO. I'm going to share my screen and take you through some of my selected trends to watch in 2023. So I'm going to hit that and just let me know if that isn't being seen correctly by anyone. What you should be seeing is a slide that says 5 SEO trends for 2023 and how to take advantage of them. So since we already got into who I am, let's jump right into the agenda of the presentation. So first, in order to talk with good context about 2023, I think we should do a brief 2022 SEO year in review. So I'll go over some of the biggest happenings in SEO in 2023. I'm sorry, 2022. And then we'll get into 5 key SEO trends to watch in 2023. After that, or really as part of that, we'll talk about how to take advantage of those trends, as well as how not to react to those trends, because that's super important for at least one of these things that I'm going to talk about, and how to sum this all up into a solid SEO strategy for 2023. So let's get to it. All right. First key happening in 2022 in SEO was that EAT became EEAT. You probably, some of you are probably sitting there like, WTF is EAT and EEAT. Well, it stands for, well, the original EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So those are three things that Google has been trying to drill into our heads recently that we should demonstrate in our content and just across our website in general with our branding and whatnot. But really, it's about content. We should demonstrate our expertise, our authoritativeness, and our trustworthiness. But this year, they revised their quality rater guidelines, which I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit, to add another E that they want us to focus on. And that E is experience. So we've got expertise and now we've got experience. What they mean by that is that they want you to talk in your content and really base your content around your personal firsthand experience. If you think about it, that's one of the best ways to differentiate from other people and make yourself really shine as an expert. And I may be talking about, you and like in the singular form, like you as an expert. It applies to brands as well. If you think, Google thinks of brands as an entity, almost like a person. So all of this stuff that I'm saying when I say you or I, it applies to a brand as a whole as well. So you or the brand should be talking about your firsthand experience with the topic that you're writing about. If you really think about it, you can fake expertise pretty easily. There's a lot of information out there on the web. Anyone can research something and then rewrite what they read and sound like an expert. And, authoritativeness and trustworthiness can even be faked a bit. Experience, talking about firsthand experience, of course, can be faked as well, but it's much harder to fake that versus the others. So I think that's one of the key reasons that they added this year. So in your content, you need to demonstrate EEAT, but also you need to demonstrate that about you, or like I said, your brand. It's not enough to just talk about your personal firsthand experience and expertise and authoritativeness and trustworthiness in the content. Google, as I was just saying, understands entities, right? So it's going to understand each piece of content that you write as an entity, a thing that is a piece of content. And then it's going to look for who wrote it, who is the author of said content. And it will crawl and look for information about the author, about you. And so you need to demonstrate EEAT in your information that you put out there about yourself as well, both on your website, like in a bio, and on all your bios across the web, including and especially LinkedIn, but all social, anywhere you can be described online. You got to make sure that you are talking about your firsthand experience, which is really how you became an expert. So then your expertise, your authoritativeness, and your trustworthiness, your credentials, what degrees you have, what awards have you won, what articles and books have you been in, and so on and so forth. So that really comes from, let's look at these, brief look at the content quality rater guidelines. This is an excerpt where they added the extra E. This is not exactly a description of their algorithm. This is guidance for their human testers of their algorithm, but that algorithms, I should say, that really trickles down into how their algorithms get designed. And they do design certain, sub algorithms around these things. So although, certain SEO experts may say, well, that's not, how the algorithm works exactly. No, it's not. But this is what the algorithm is aiming to do. And this is what their human testers look at. So they're telling the human testers, consider the extent to which the content creator has the necessary firsthand or life experience for the topic. So it's really not just talking about your firsthand experience in your content, but backing that up with solid bios of you, the creator, and why you have this experience, how you have this expertise. Again, on expertise, consider the extent to which the content creator has the necessary knowledge or skill on this topic. And again, same thing, authoritativeness, consider the extent to which the content creator or the website or the brand is known as a go-to source for the topic. So although this is really supposedly first and foremost about the content, they're talking a lot about the creator of the content and the EEAT that is verifiable out there on the web about the content creator. So definitely keep all of that in mind in your 2023 strategy. We'll get to that more, but next up, let's go over another big happening in our 2022 SEO year in review, the GA4 Google Analytics 4 deadline, migration deadline was announced, and there's a very accurate description of what my reaction to that was like, as well as I think a lot of the rest of the marketing world. This is a tough one. The current version of Google Analytics that we've all been using for many years, which is also known as Universal Analytics or GA3, is going away. And when is it going away? In 162 days, and depending upon your time zone, approximately 3 hours. But who's counting, right? It's July 1st is the deadline that they announced that Universal Analytics will stop collecting data. So if you don't implement Google Analytics 4, which is really an entirely different tool, if you don't add that to your website and implement that by July 1st, you will have no data after July 1st. And why is that an SEO concern? Well, because analytics and SEO go hand in hand. If you're trying to do SEO without analytics, you're flying blind. So don't end up blind on July 1st. Set up GA4 now, like right now. Well, maybe not. Listen to the rest of the webinar and then go set up GA4. You can do this very quickly. There are some complicated further configurations that can and should be done, but in 46 seconds, I have a video on my YouTube, 46 seconds, you can get your website, you can get your GA4 property created and get the code ready to put on your website. So it doesn't take too long. Everyone can find 46-ish seconds in their day. At least take a look and see what's involved. You'll see it's pretty simple to do step one. There's a lot of other stuff that should be done after that, like I said, but I'll have more content coming out on that soon. But for now, don't end up flying blind on July 1st. At the very least, if you do nothing else, if you take nothing else away from today, go set up your GA4 account if you haven't done it already and add it to your website. So enough on that topic. Next big happening in 2022 was that 2022 was the year that AI, artificial intelligence, really rocked the SEO world as well as pretty much every other industry out there. And why was that? That's because ChatGPT was released to the public and all hell broke loose. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but it was a big thing. If you haven't heard of it, ChatGPT is an AI bot engine, an AI, an artificial intelligence thing, like a person almost, that you can talk with and you can ask questions and you can ask it to do things for you. For example, as shown here, I went on there and I said, write me an article explaining quantum physics. And instantly it spit this out, and it's much longer than what's shown on the screen here. And it's good. And it's not copy pasted from somewhere else on the web. This thing knows all of this stuff and is learning more and more every day. It's fascinating and a bit terrifying, but it's also not completely new. What's new, especially in the SEO world, AI has been a part of the algorithms for a long time. What's new about ChatGPT is that the release of this very simple tool and its very simple interface made it easy for people to use AI. And why does that matter in the SEO world? Well, we all know what people do when they find something that they think they can game the SEO system with. They overuse and abuse it until Google decides to design a penalty to stop it. This is why we can't have nice things in the SEO world. So save yourself some time and save yourself some penalties, and do not generate all of your content with AI. We'll talk a little bit more in the 2023 strategy part about how you can use it, but just skip that whole thing. Just know that they're already working on it. There's AI detectors out there. Google's inevitably working on putting them into their algorithms so that it will know if your content was written by AI or by a human. And back to that extra E that they added, I think this is a big reason why they added that, because the AIs can demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, and even trustworthiness because of their expertise and authoritativeness, but they can't talk about firsthand experience like you can. So yes, it wrote a brilliant article on quantum physics in an instant, but that I could publish somewhere theoretically, but it's never going to be as good as like that thing can't talk about that thing's own experience in quantum physics. Only, a scientist, a researcher that actually works in that world can talk about their personal experience. So I think that Google is definitely looking ahead to how people are going to overuse and abuse AI for content generation. And that's why they added the extra E for experience, to talk about your firsthand experience. So some of these big 2022 happenings are inevitably going to continue on as 2023 trends. So if we look at the first one of those, is basically what I was just talking about. The new E of expertise means that content will get more personal. That will be a trend in 2023, at least for the smart people. The smart people in 2023 will make their content much more personal, talking about firsthand and personal experience. So how can you take advantage of this? Start now. Be ahead of the curve. Create a wide array of content on your site that talks about your first person experience. I'm starting to just kind of call this first person content, and not simply in the grammatical sense of saying I, but more so, just the subject matter of the topic of each article and each page should be talking about how you learned this thing or know this thing or have experience with this topic. So before your competitors even catch on to the fact that there's now another E, have a wide library of content out there, all talking about your firsthand experience, and beat them to the punch. And that will definitely help you exceed them in SEO in 2023. Also, as I mentioned, it's not just about the content, it's about the content creator. They keep harping on that in their content quality rater guidelines. Look up the content creator. How does this creator know this? How does this creator have firsthand experience with this? So beef up your bios big time, anywhere on the web that talks about who you are and why and how you know what you know and why you should be trusted. On your own website, of course, make sure that your blog articles say who wrote them. Let's go back to the basics. The bot can't know who wrote it if you don't put your name on it. So let's start there. Make sure everything you write, barring your website pages. I'm really talking for this part about the blog articles that you write, which are a huge part of SEO. I should probably kind of go back to basics and emphasize that as well. Blogging is like putting gas in the car for SEO. You constantly need to write new articles to add more keywords to your site, more evidence of EEAT, and more internal linking between your core website content, the pages on your site, the product or service pages, I call them the money pages, the pages that describe how you make money. They need to be supported and have gas put in their car by constantly writing educational blog articles about those topics and linking them back to it. So if you think of every money page on your site, whether that be like a product category or a page that talks about a service you provide, imagine a bicycle wheel, like a hub and spoke around that. You need to have new blog articles being added to that outer wheel all the time and link them all back into their relevant money page. And that's how you lift the money pages in search. So blogging is an incredibly important part of SEO, and becoming in 2023, a even more important part of that will be make sure each blog article says who wrote it, make sure that name is clickable back to a bio. AI's artificial intelligence, they're getting very intelligent, but they can't deduce things fully the way a human brain can. So you got to just kind of lay it out there really simply for the bot. The bot needs to be able to go through the content, see a lot of the keywords, determine what the topic is, and then see your name, click on your name, go to your bio, and digest all of the information in there about your credibility to put two and two together. So feed it to the bot nice and clearly, name on the content, link the name to the bio, and beef up the bio big time. Brag about yourself, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. If you want to succeed in SEO in 2023, you got to brag about you or your brand's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness in your topic. All right, enough on that. Let's go to the next one. Big happening in 2022, like I said, was AI. 2023 trend that comes from that. Actually, I think we're going to see it go both ways. So at first I said content is going to get more personal because the smart people who are in tune to this stuff and are paying attention to the fact that there's a new E, that where you have to talk about your firsthand experience, they're going to make their content more personal. But probably what the masses are going to do is look for that, cheat code per se to SEO success and have ChatGPT or similar AI engines write all their content for them, push out a ton of it, just like fire hose of AI written content. And so the content on the web in general is probably going to get largely less personal. But how you can take advantage of that is what we talked about before. Get more personal with your content. Be first. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't really resist the temptation to have these AIs write your content for you. You can use it, but don't abuse it. And so how do we do that? So the ways that I've been using it without abusing it are I'm using ChatGPT and AI tools to generate content ideas. I typed in, what do people want to know about Google Analytics for? And it gave me a whole list of questions that people have been asking. And so I started generating content about those questions. That's fine. That's not having a bot do your job. That's what Google doesn't want you to do. It doesn't want you to use the bots to create content. Well, first and foremost, it doesn't want you to have them create content strictly for the purpose of SEO. So you can use it to generate ideas for content that you're going to write that demonstrates EEAT. I've also been using it to find secondary keywords. I do not think it is good enough yet to generate primary keywords for SEO, meaning the main keyword you're going to focus an article or a page around. But I find it very good at secondary keywords since it's learning from a lot of random people using it, asking random questions. When you put in a topic, it gives you keywords that people are typing in. If you say find me secondary keywords about, for example, GA4. It does give you some very specific long tail keywords that you can use in your content, and using those keywords is fine as long as you're not having it write the content in full. You can also use it to automate mundane tasks. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up too. It can do a lot of things. It can actually write code. I wrote into something, I forget exactly what the task was, but some mundane repeatable task that I was doing. I went over to ChatGPT and I wrote, write me a script to automate this thing. And it spit out a Python script and it worked. I was like, it's really, truly amazing. So rely on it for those types of things. Don't drink the Kool-Aid and fall into the trap of having it write all your content. Don't do that, but do use it in smart ways to get ahead of the competition. So like I just said, don't use it for writing in full. It will be picked up by AI detectors and or plagiarism detectors. So we've had both happen. So we've got clients that are starting to fall into this trap and they're like, hey, here's an article that I had AI generate for me. What do you think? Add some keywords to it, put it on my website. And we're like, we run it through both an AI detector. Actually, we run it through like 7 AI detectors and plagiarism detectors, and inevitably it gets picked up by either or. It's funny, sometimes the AI content does not get flagged at all as plagiarism, but it gets flagged as AI. And in the reverse, sometimes it doesn't get flagged at all as AI, but it gets flagged for plagiarism because I guess it did grab too many pieces from elsewhere on the web. Again, I'm just going to keep harping on this. The new E, talk about your own experience. This will be the only way to stand out from an ocean of AI written content that is going to be bland and generic, like that quantum physics article. It was wonderful. It was brilliant. It was smart. It was accurate, but it was bland. It wasn't, I am a quantum physics scientist, and here's what I have discovered in my experiments. It can never talk like that. So that will be the way to stand out. Another way that AI is going to impact SEO trends in 2023 is that search engines are going to start truly understanding multimedia, especially Google. They have this AI engine that they've developed called MUM, and they're working on another one called CALM. They just acronyms for everything. But the point is that Mum and Com are going to be able to help Google as a search engine understand multimedia and multi-languages. So it's going to be constantly learning all day, every day about what different people in different languages think and know about things. But also, most of us here probably aren't optimizing in multiple languages. So the key takeaway here is it's starting to truly understand multimedia. Mum is I always forget the full thing, multimedia something. It even has it in its name. So it's designed to understand different types of media, like video and images primarily. There's always been image search in recent years. There's always been video search, but it's been meh. Multimedia search is going to arrive for real now. There's even AI engines that are like creating images pixel by pixel. You say, like, create me an image of this thing, and it puts it together. So if you reverse engineer that as a search engine, it can, piece apart an image or video pixel by pixel and actually understand what it is for real. Don't use that as an excuse to stop optimizing your image alt tags and your file and image file names and stuff. Still, label those very clearly, especially for ADA purposes, but start thinking of SEO more holistically, not just like the image is, an extra little add-on to optimizing just words. Optimize the words, but think harder about what images you are including, what images you put on your website, and how that gives context to your topic and your expertise, firsthand experience, authoritativeness, blah, blah, blah. Video as well, especially video. Video, as you know, it just keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And how you could take advantage of this: reels, and more reels, and shorts too, which is YouTube now came out with this thing that is, reels. It's their version of reels. And they call it shorts. But if you're so YouTube is owned by Google. So reels are hot regardless of wherever you put them, and you should be putting them everywhere. But shorts are on YouTube, which is owned by Google. So, shortcut to getting into Google, be on YouTube Shorts, you'll be in Google. You can even see in what I've circled there that they have this new search snippet area for short videos for certain topics, not for all topics, but that's just going to continue to grow because the number of reels and now shorts are going to continue to grow. And it's just probably the closest thing to a shortcut, pun intended, is being on YouTube Shorts as a shortcut to being in Google in 2023. And as far as the analytics stuff that I was talking about, the GA4, how is that going to turn into a 2023 trend? Well, this, again, the smart people are going to spend their time learning Data Studio, which has now recently been renamed Looker Studio. That's why I crossed that out. Instead of learning the GA4 interface. You have to set up GA4 to collect your data, or you will have no data after that. But after you set it up, don't waste time learning how to read reports in GA4. Let your competitors waste time on that. You be smart and learn Looker Studio instead. Google just acquired this brand Looker, and that's why they renamed it. So I'm getting used to calling it Looker Studio. Anyway, I'll give you a visual representation of why you want to do this and not that. Or I should say, that and not this. This is what digesting and analyzing information in reports in GA4 looks like. Yeah, have fun with that. This is what digesting and creating and looking at reports in Looker Studio looks like. Very just night and day. It's night and day. This is actually understandable. This is beautiful. This actually resonates with people. It's clearly the way to go. It's a free tool by Google. It's incredibly easy to connect it to your GA4 data and pull it in, as well as other data sources, Google Ads. You can, and not non-Google products, anything that has an API can be connected to Looker Studio. HubSpot, a lot of people use HubSpot. We've been adding HubSpot to a lot of our clients' Looker reports recently. Facebook ads, YouTube ads, anything you can add, anything that has an API, you can add to this. So it's a more holistic version of reporting anyway. So in conclusion, GA4 sucks. Don't learn it. Use it. You have to use it to collect the data, but don't learn the interface. Don't waste your time with that. If you're going to spend time learning anything, learn Looker Studio instead. And you can even use that to help with your transition. Like I built this report here that compares my GA3 to GA4 and makes sure, I'm recording everything correctly in GA4. Side note, the numbers will never match. It's a different measurement model. It's apples and oranges. So they will never match exactly, but they should be in the same realm. You can see on the one side, maybe you could see it's small, but it says, 136 users and 148 users in the other one. That's how it should look. If you have 1,400 users on one side and 140 on the other, you've configured something wrong. So you can even use it as a wonderful tool in your transition efforts between GA3 and GA4. And the last trend that I'm going to talk about for 2023 is economics. We're still in this funny place where, it's funny because this is not technical topic at all, but it does trickle down into should trickle down into your SEO strategy for 2023 because it's so uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. And how this relates to SEO is that SEO already, setting aside economic factors, SEO already gets more and more complex every year. People say SEO is always changing. It's not always changing to become completely different. It's evolving to become more and more complex. And the more complex it gets each year, the more and more resources we have to put towards it, either our own time or pay someone else to do it. So it's already this thing that's just kind of like blossoming out of control with the amount of resources that it sucks up. And then, of course, resources is money. Time is money if it's your own time or you're paying money to someone else. So this relates to basically how much you will have available to invest in your SEO efforts in 2023. Hopefully not, but if things take a really bad turn, we're all going to be pinching pennies everywhere we can. So why not start now? And this relates to the other trend of AI. Be smart, use the AI for things like process optimization and automation. Take your mundane tasks and first of all, forget about the technology part. Just think about how you can make them more efficient. If you're having a back and forth process in your blog writing routine where things tend to go back and forth for multiple revisions between different people, get those people together, brainstorm about how can we get this done quicker? How can we be boom, 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 efficient, and then also look at the tools that are out there. I mean, even just Zapier, that whole like if this then that type things, connect your systems, make things fill themselves out whenever you can, squeeze every little second out of the day with process optimization and automation, and your 2023 SEO strategy will thrive. Whether there's an economic downturn or not, you will be more efficient, you will pump out more content, you will take care of more things, you will do better. So definitely focus on process optimization and automation in your SEO efforts in 2023. So to tie this all together, the key happenings in 2022, turning into some of the 5 trends, plus that last one I tacked on, the economic trend, your 2023 SEO strategy is going to look something like this. Now that looks really complicated, but I just did like a mind map that pulls all of these things together. AI is going to be kind of at the center of a lot of this. That is the biggest thing that's going on right now, along with the GA4, but that it's more of a side thing because once you take care of it and you get used to using Looker Studio for your reports, that'll kind of fade away a little bit. The personalized content's not going to fade away. The EEAT, keep that, all of those letters in mind, but keep that extra E in mind big time this year, that first-hand experience and your credentials of why you how you got that experience and why you know what you're talking about. So get personal with your content, use AI, but don't abuse it. Use it for idea generation and automation, but don't abuse it by having it write your content for you. But do trust it to understand multimedia a little bit more this year, if not a lot more this coming year, and take your shortcut by using YouTube Shorts to get into Google results. And then, like I said, the economy, who knows? We should be smart about our time and money spending anyway. So process optimization and automation both can be assisted by AI and will save you money and help you succeed in SEO in 2023. With that, I will take a breath and a sip of coffee and see what questions rolled in while I was yammering on.
Yes, we do have a few questions. I'm going to read them to you, okay?
Sure, yeah.
Talek, I hope I'm saying it right, is asking where do you, I guess it's Access GPT? It's referring to
yes,
access.
so that is at chat.openai.com. I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah, would you put that in the chat?
AI.com. I think I killed my screen share. I'll put that back up so you can look at this some more. It went away from that screen though. Let me try this. I'll just have to do it this way, but there's my not so pretty mind map, and I can do questions over here now. Okay, so that's where you find ChatGPT, is at chat.openai.com.
Great, thank you. We have Janice asking what are the AI detectors do you recommend? What AI detectors do you recommend, I guess?
Okay, so I don't have a recommended favorite one just yet. It's so new. I haven't really come to trust a certain one yet. I just use them all. So basically just search for, free AI detector. They'll all have some kind of paid upgrade, which once I do start to gravitate and trust one of them more, I'll make that our go-to, but I'm not there yet. I run it through all the free ones I can find and see if they come to a consensus or not. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. Sometimes, and I test it too. I put stuff in that I know is AI generated, and then I put stuff in that I know is human generated. And so I'm just playing with that right now. I don't know which one I'll settle on, but I suggest you do the same.
Okay, sorry, just going back to the first question, were you going to share a slide in your screen? Because we can see your screen, but not the slides.
Oh, so you're seeing the last slide right now?
We're just seeing your screen, and someone made a comment that maybe you were sharing a slide in your screen.
Oh, okay.
Reply to
yeah,
the
sorry,
first
I don't know what happened there. I'll just ditch that then. No, I was just going to put the link to ChatGPT, which I put in the chat instead.
Okay. Well, let's see what we have. Daniel is asking, what plagiarism AI check tools do you use?
So like I was just saying, we are in the hunt for a go-to tool. Copyscape is the traditional plagiarism detector that's most trusted. But, I'd like to find, I don't know if we're going to settle on using one go-to tool for plagiarism and one for AI. I'd like to find a combo. There are new ones that are starting to come out that are combos and check for both at the same time, because we have to focus on efficiency in 2023 and process optimization. So I'm hoping to find one and we could just put something in and it will check for both plagiarism and AI. But again, it's just, we're in the experimentation phase with it now. This is all pretty new, so don't know where we'll settle on that yet.
Thank you. We have a question from Steven Kaminsky. Thanks for this meeting. Question for now, for after. Why does Google not show a website we launched back in November? This is not normally what we see. SEO through Yoast was on point. Sitemap was sent in and processed successfully through Google Search Console. Bing shows it on a page one twice. Google has it nowhere. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I can take a guess at why. The most common reason we see for that is not actually in the Yoast settings. It's in the, and I'm making assumption it's WordPress. It's in the WordPress reading settings where you say, allow this website to be crawled by search engines. A lot of times, excuse me, when a new website is launched, you've had it when you were in the draft development mode, you had that box checked, like, do not let search engines show this for a reason. And then, they flip the switch and you put the new website live and forget to undo that. Even if you double check all your Yoast settings, you may not see that because it's not in the Yoast settings. So that would be my number one suspicion there. If that's not it, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chat as well, and I'm happy to take a closer look.
Great, thank you. Daniel is asking, Should we keep the old universal Google Analytics code and just add GA4, or just remove the old and only keep the new GA4 code?
Yeah, great question. Definitely you want to run both side by side for a while. Like I was saying, you can make sure you got everything configured correctly. But as far as the tracking code for that, it depends on which version of the code you have implemented currently. If you have the new GTag version of the universal analytics tracking code, you can use that to track for both GA4 and UA. You can connect it to both. If you have an older version of the UA script, you can just leave it there for now and add the new GA4 script side by side with it. My ultimate recommendation is a bit more techy, but my ultimate recommendation is Google Tag Manager. I recommend just putting Google Tag Manager script on your site and then deploying all your tags through Tag Manager, meaning your Universal Analytics tag, your GA4 tag, but all your other stuff too, your Facebook pixel, any other HubSpot tracking code, any other tracking code that you use. It's best managed all in one place in Tag Manager and push it all out that way. This way you only have one script on your site, because page speed is important for SEO and multiple scripts slow things down. Not to mention, it's just great to have them all in one place and manage them all in one place. But anyway, you got several options there.
Thank you.
Arthur said Tag Manager. Team Tag Manager
all the way. Arthur is saying Tag Manager all the way. And Lindsay is asking, we just changed our domain, or our Google tracking was set up before the change, but we use it for our new URL as it is rerouted to new ones. How will be upgrading to GA4 affect that?
Okay, so if I understand correctly, same GA account, new domain should not be a problem. That's actually good. You'll have your old historical information from your old domain in the same place as the new one, so you can compare them, which is great. So if I understood that correctly, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Okay, Daniel, what is the best SEO practice, or when a blog editor is no longer working for a company? Is it best to add a write-up on all of the blog posts stating that this editor is no longer employed by the company, and update the author as well? Basically, I have a lot of great evergreen content, traffic written from former employees, and looking to see what SEO best practice and steps I should keep in mind. Yes, that's a good question.
That is an excellent question. Okay, so every situation is different. In general, if possible, I try to encourage brands to have one or a few thought leaders that all of the content is ghostwritten under. Now, sometimes if you have a really engaged team and they want their own name on their stuff, that's fine. And but that's when you can end up with this situation. What do you do when they leave? You don't want to get into any legal issues with, who wrote what. But I mean, most of the times, depending upon employment contracts, when someone is working for you, the work that they generate for you is work for hire, and copyright is owned by you. So you can just flip it to your own name. Or someone else's name who's still writing for you, and consider it ghostwritten. You got to be careful with that, though. Consult your employment attorneys and whatnot. Going forward, it's probably best to have as part of your employment agreement that any articles written on your site by your employees are owned by you, and you have the right to change the name on that content if you wish.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Deepak is asking, what is the best practice you suggest for us for making backlinks for our blog?
Don't. Yeah, that's Google has gotten stricter and stricter and stricter over time with that you basically can't do anything manually to build links. If you do, you're against their terms of service and you're at risk of getting kicked out of Google. And honestly, you'll probably pay more to try to get back into Google's good graces than you paid to have links built for you. So I try to call it, instead of link building, nowadays link earning. I think you should earn your links by putting out good content, demonstrating your EEAT, your credibility, doing good social, good PR, and use your real world relationships too. Think about who you can cross market with, and, do research studies together, whatever it may be, use your real world offline relationships to end up, getting links from those people from their website to yours, but really you can't build them. You have to earn them.
Very true. We have a question from Carrie. Where do we get to Looker Studio? Is it an extension to use in the browser?
Good question. As of now, it is still at, I'll put it in the chat, datastudio.google.com. I'm sure they will rename that soon. So they've renamed the tool, but they haven't renamed the URL yet. So you can find it at just the same way you find Google Analytics at analytics.google.com. You can find Looker Studio, aka Data Studio, at datastudio.google.com. Soon to be changed to Looker Studio, but as of today, it's still Data Studio.
Okay.
Google loves to rename things. It's very annoying,
I guess. We have a question from Guy. In WordPress, there are multiple SEO plugins available. Which one is the best or recommended?
I am Team Yoast.
Team Yoast.
To be honest, some new ones have come out in recent years that I've lightly played with, but not given a full shot. Because I don't know, Yoast just works. It just takes care of everything. They have, even extensions for video SEO, which is going to become more important now. They're ahead of the curve, and I've just stuck with them for many, many years.
Team Yoast. Sabrina is asking if Looker Studio is kind of the same thing as Dash This for reports.
Yes. So yeah, Looker Studio is not the only dashboard creation tool that's out there. Dash This is a good one. We used to use that for client reporting years ago. But then I gravitated towards Data Studio A because it's free, and B because it was more powerful and easy to use. I don't know, to be fair to Dash This, I don't know what their current tool is like, but that was a handful of years ago. But there's also Tableau on like the enterprise level. There's another one, it starts with a K. I can't remember the name, but yeah, there's a bunch of dashboard tools out there. Most of them though are not free. So, that's why most people we recommend start with Data Studio. And if you hit major limitations with what you need to do and you can't, then look at the paid ones, but I rarely run into that.
Great. Janice is asking if you could please do a brief recap on SEO trend number 2 and 3, since they seem to be similar and related to multimedia.
Sure. Let me see if I can get that slide going again there. And share screen. This one. Nope, not that one. This one. Okay, hopefully this works this time. Can you see my slides there again?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so the 1 and 2 were very, very similar. Content gets more personal and content gets less personal, which really is content will need to get more personal, and the smart people will make it more personal. And what the masses will probably do is make it just all AI written and less personal. As far as the multimedia, yeah, that was number 3. Oops, skipped around here. Search engines will start really Google, because of their MUM AI engine that's being embedded into their Google search algorithm. MUM understands multimedia to a level that never existed before in Google search. So, they're really going to understand the contents of images and videos. I tell clients all the time now, you have to put your image alt text on your images. I mean, obviously for ADA legal purposes, but well keyworded for SEO purposes, and optimize your image file name so that the not so intelligent bots can understand what that image is about. Same for video. You got to use schema markup on videos so that the not so smart Google bot can understand what the video is about. But that's going to start to shift towards, it's going to get it. It's going to know what that image is and what that video is about without you having to do all that tagging, and will deeper understand it than it ever could with that tagging. So start to think more holistically about the content that you put on your site. A lot of times when I do a blog article, I just put up a picture of, a title. It's just the title of the blog article and a picture that looks pretty for social as a thumbnail. But really what I need to start doing is, including real images of the thing. Or, let's say I'm writing an article about GA4, screenshots from GA4, pictures of me. I'm starting to set up, I don't know if you can see it here, I got like a phone clip holder thing here behind me for my reels. So yeah, I have a webcam right here, but to turn around and have GA4 open behind me while I'm making a video is the personal experience. It's going to really start to understand all of that. So that's really what I meant by that. Start using more multimedia. Don't think of SEO as just words anymore. Enhance your words with images and video, and really think deeply about the content. Don't just slap a pretty picture on something anymore. Think about how to increase your EEAT by adding specific images and videos to your content. Hopefully that helps recap that. As if we don't get to anyone's questions or you have further follow-up questions, definitely feel free to email me.
We'll try. We have about 10 minutes. We'll try. Arthur is asking, as a developer who builds a lot of websites, is it bad to credit my business with a link in the footer on the client websites?
It's not necessarily bad, but it's not good. That's really ignored these days. Google understands that pretty much everyone who's ever built a website ever has done that, and it doesn't really mean anything. So if it sees a web developer link in a footer, it ignores it. Okay. So you can, if you want, to promote your brand or not. It's not really an SEO thing anymore.
Thank you. We have Robert asking, what is the best recommendation for ranking video content? YouTube?
Yes, there's a lot involved in that, although it's not incredibly complex. But optimizing your titles, your descriptions, including captions, making sure they're written correctly. The auto-generated captions are often not written correctly, so edited captions. Embedding YouTube videos on your blog with a blog article about the video, either an in-depth summary or the full transcript. So yeah, transcripts, captions, all the words, but also looking forward to, like I was just saying, looking forward to 2023, like what's actually in that video? What would a bot understand about what it's seeing in that video? And how does that relate to the keywords that you want to get found for?
Great. We have a question from Deb. What do you think about Google's WP plugin site kit?
The Google's site kit, I don't use it often, to be honest. I have used it. I found it very simplistic and not impressive and moved on. I don't know if they've added anything new to it recently, but yeah, it just seemed to pull in some very simplistic metrics from Search Console and Google Analytics, and we were already pulling much more data into Looker Studio, and go there all the time. So yeah, to be honest, I don't have too much of an opinion on that one. But I guess it's a great starting point if you're not using something like Looker Studio yet.
Mm-hmm. Daniel is asking, does having a high domain authority score still a factor in SEO? If so, any quick tips on how to increase domain authority score?
Yeah, so in an indirect sense, domain authority score does still apply, keeping in mind that domain authority and similar metrics, those scores they were invented by the SEO industry, by SEO software providers, to attempt to mimic what Google thinks of the link equity of your site. So keep in mind, it's a fabricated thing that doesn't come directly from Google. But the concept applies absolutely. The more reputable and relevant links you have pointing to your domain and to your individual pieces of content, the better it will rank. It still matters a lot, but again, to go back to what I was harping on before, you cannot manipulate it. So it matters, but you have to earn it with good social, good PR, good content, all the things that I was talking about before. But keep in mind, don't get too tripped up on exact numbers in those tools, because keep in mind, they're made up. They're not what Google actually has in its brain, per se.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Daniel again. He's asking, what are your best SEO tools that you recommend? For instance, SEMrush versus Screaming Frog versus RFs, SEO tools.
Yes, so big fan of SEMrush for sure. We actually, my favorite thing to do with that is connect its API to Looker Studio. So amongst other data sources like Google Analytics, Google Ads, Search Console, we're pulling in SEMrush API data for keyword rankings into our reports as well. Love that. Screaming Frog is amazing. I'm actually working on starting to integrate their template. They have a data studio, Looker Studio, whatever we're calling it today, template that you can download and connect and automate your crawls. So you can automate your Screaming Frog crawls, have the results uploaded to Google Drive, and then have Looker Studio grab it from there. Really cool if you're a tech nerd like me. So huge fan of Screaming Frog regardless of that, but especially because of that in 2023. Yeah, definitely going to stick to Screaming Frog. That's kind of it, other than like the Google tools themselves, Google Analytics, Search Console. We use a specialty thing here or there if we need it, but as far as non-Google tools, I'd say SEMrush and Screaming Frog are the ones that we rely on.
Thank you. I like SEMrush as well. Margaret is asking, do you recommend SpyFu for competitor keyword research tool? If not, is there one you specifically use or like for keyword
We
research?
use SEMrush for that. We find that good for that. I'm not really actually too familiar with how SpyFu differs from that, because I've gotten every competitive metric I've needed out of our use of SEMrush.
Great. Liam is asking, what is your preferred method for connecting GA4 to WordPress sites? Do you use a plugin for that?
So just say the beginning part of that again.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is your preferred method for connecting GA4 to your WordPress site?
Oh, connecting GA4 to WordPress.
Yeah.
Yep. So preferred method, like I said, my number one preferred method would be the Tag Manager. But then as far as getting Tag Manager into your WordPress site, I prefer, if possible, that it gets hard coded into the templates so that it doesn't accidentally get removed if you use a plugin, but that's not accessible to everyone. So there's a great plugin. It got renamed recently. I think it's just called Google Tag Manager. It's Duracell Tomi, or it's the number one most popular one if you search for it. It is very good to get Tag Manager code onto the site if you're using Tag Manager. If you're using GA4, I think you can use that Sitekit plugin. Like I said, I personally don't use it, but I think you can. There's plenty of other ones. Although Watch these days, some of them don't actually, some of the most popular analytics plugins for adding GA code to the site actually don't fully support GA4 yet. With this, you need to be able to track events and conversions and not just slap it on there. I mean, I did say just slap it on there for now, but ultimately you're going to need to do more with it than that. So yeah, ultimately I'd say number one preference is use Google Tag Manager. Number one preference for how to use Google Tag Manager would be hard-coded into your WordPress template. Second best would be that Google Tag Manager plugin, but I believe his name is Duracell. No, Thomas Geiger. I'm thinking of some other plugin with the Duracell one. Thomas Geiger, I think, is the name of the publisher of the Tag Manager plugin.
Thank you. Then we have Robert. He had asked a question before about ranking video, and he's saying that his question was more about ranking video. It was more related to how he gets his site ranking if he has YouTube embedded on his site. It wasn't. Okay. I think we didn't quite understand the question earlier.
Gotcha. Yeah. But actually the answer is kind of the same. Google owns both entities, right? So it owns Google and it owns YouTube. So it has full access to all the data points in both. So if you're going to embed a YouTube video on your site in order to get your site higher in Google, the more you optimize that YouTube video on YouTube, the more that YouTube understands it, and the more that embedding it will help rise it on your website in regular Google, if that makes sense. It's really kind of like, think of it holistically as one thing. Your video SEO is for the page on which you embed it on your site, and it's for YouTube itself, and they talk to each other, and it's kind of the same thing, if that makes sense.
Thank you. I think we have Guy asking if GA4 will prevent fake news.
Unfortunately not. GA4 is just the latest version of Google Analytics, which simply tracks user activity on a website. So it doesn't have anything to do with what shows up in Google. They have their other algorithms that work on that they're trying to always improve upon, but that also battles with free speech and all that. I don't get into that. I just focus on helping businesses get found in Google.
Okay. And then we have Daniel. He's saying he spoke too soon with the questions. How
Last
do you prepare?
question.
I know. How do we prepare for a cookieless future given GA4 still uses cookies? He believes he still uses cookies.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't say whether it does or not. I haven't looked deeply. I believe it does at the moment still use cookies. But I believe part of the reason that they are forcing us to use this new tool is part of the transition towards a cookieless future. So even if GA4 does use them today, I believe they designed it to not use them in the future, to use whatever, I forget the term of the replacement technology that they came up with. Actually, I think that failed, but whatever technology ends up replacing cookies, I think they designed GA4 to either use that off the bat or transition towards it. Not a in-depth cookie expert myself, but from my understanding, I think that's what the deal is.
Wonderful. Well, I know we're out of time. If someone wants to follow up with you after this webinar, they can email, right? Can email you?
Yes.
I think you put.
Yes, I will put my
Hannahmarketing.com.
email in the chat one more time. Those are excellent questions. Thank you, everyone. It was very good. Good. I like to be challenged with good questions. Those are good ones.
It is great. Well, thank you. I want to thank everybody for being here and asking great questions. It's really all about the questions. It's nice. And, thank you for staying, and we hope to see you in a future webinar. You can find a list of our webinars at greengeeks.com/webinars. And thank you, Pam. Thank you, Erica, for all your help.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Pam.
Thank you guys for having me. This was super fun.
Thank you. It's been fun. We will see you soon.
Yes.
Okay. Take care.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.